closest that we can get to Wells Fargo to make our voices heard. Let's make our voices heard.
Let's make our voices heard.
DNC! This is DNC! That focuses issues! About things that apply to everybody!
About things that apply to everybody!
Everybody has the right for the autonomous decision making!
Everybody has the right for autonomous decision making!
Including diversity of tactics!
Including diversity of tactics!
So back the fuck off! So back the fuck off! I am Paul Nielsen!
We're going to give that mic to Cheyenne Brown so that she can read from Ezekiel.
No!
What?
My name is Cheyenne Brown. This march coming, people, invite people. So I'm going to read from Ezekiel chapter 33, verses 19 in the King James Version Bible. It speaks, but if the wicked turn from his wickedness and do not which is lawful and right, it shall there be, and then it shall there be. Yet shall it say, the Lord is not equal. Our house of Israel judge everyone and one after its ways. And it has come to pass the 12th of our capacity in the 10th month and the 5th day of the month of the one that has escaped of Jerusalem, upon saying the city of Sidon, now have I had the Lord, was upon the evening, adore he that was escaped. Come open mouth, and so he came to me in the morning, and the mouth was open, and I was no more dumb. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, that inhabit those ways of land, Ezekiel speaking Abraham, let everybody have peace, love, and grace. Amen.
Love and grace.
Peace, love, and grace. Amen.
Five pieces of legislation
of racism that's not modified patriarchy, sexism, racism. You cannot reform those things. It's a part of the system. The system uses those things as a margin. So if you want to talk about reducing the bodies of brown and black people dying in the streets because of this system, you need to stop fucking reforming it. Because some of us have been reforming this for a really long time.
Let's talk about. If you want to fucking put rainbow flags on a fucking
No, you
drone,
don't, clearly.
It's still a fucking drone. You're still killing innocent people. You can reform it as much as you want. You can make it look cute. You can put rainbows and trains.
I think we should let them go for right now, and if it gets any worse routing them, we'll try and de-escalate and do it properly and keep it peaceful. That's all we want to do is keep it peaceful.
The fucking system that you are supporting with reform.
Let's talk about San Francisco.
Reform is tolerating people who are coming out and murdering trans people like me. They're going out and they're killing people.
When you're
and we're dying in the fucking streets.
Tolerating the system.
Let's talk.
Creating the problem.
Let's talk about San Francisco police listing violence against sex workers as NHI cases, no human involved, because the system only values you as much as you create wealth for it. No, I don't believe in nonviolence. I don't believe in pacifism.
It's not pacifism. I'm just saying let's all be loving.
What's your moment?
All you're doing is helping support the status quo. And you know what?
Supporting the people that benefit out of that, which is the white cis men that benefit out of those places. If you ask every brown, black, people of color, trans, and queer, they have never benefited out of reform. In fact, when you reform the system, the only thing that benefits are the white people, the very same thing that enjoys the privilege in this country, that perpetuate fascism and imperialism overseas. That's the only thing it goes. If you're problem, take that shit down. Why are you reforming it?
Your nonviolence doesn't protect me from getting 3 ribs broken by neo-Nazis. That happened to me.
May I offer you a flower?
No, thank you.
Racist in my hometown, throwing beer bottles at me and trying to set me on fire. You're reformism will
that's
not
not work.
protect me.
Have you ever had a neo-Nazi kick you in the ribs with steel-toed boots while he called you a faggot? Okay, would you be non-violent after that?
I have actually had problems with Nazis, especially when I was in
So
the Boston area.
you're just gonna sit there and let them run over you? Is that what you're gonna
There's
do?
a difference between
Reform?
self-defense and there's a
The
difference.
system's already violent.
The
It's already
system's already violent. The system's committing violence. The system is committing violence.
Already.
So if you say you're gonna reform it and you're non-violent because a non-violent
No, because your ideas are stupid. You don't get to talk anymore.
Heard any of them. You've talked at me. I would like to speak with you if you would like.
We know about democracy spring.
If you're aware of it, then and you're opposed to it,
I'm gonna give you an
you don't
example.
have to actually be here. But we do support the Black Lives Matter. We do support the LGBT.
But I'm gonna tell you,
Don't do
don't.
something about
But
it.
hold on.
We are
Look.
trying to.
No, you're
If you
not.
would like for
But
me
the
to
thing is,
explain
I'm
what we're
telling
trying
you
to
something.
do.
what
What
you're
is
trying to do
supporting?
doesn't help.
And I'm gonna tell you, as a
Why
person
it's
of color, Black Lives Matter wants to abolish the police. They don't want to reform it. If you guys are listening to it, you would know they don't want to reform the police. They want to take down the system. So as part of Black Lives Matter, we can't reform the police. So that's what you guys are doing.
Can we talk
You're
about
talking about ending oligarchy, but you're perpetuating it by allowing politicians that's going to make the same fucking mistake
Can I
again.
ask you one question, sir?
Go ahead.
Have you read Michelle Alexander's book?
Yes,
Yes.
very much so.
So what we are trying to do is undo those kinds of legislative decisions that have allowed for the oppression of people by giving people their voice back, by
But you're
allowing their
also
voice to
removing other
count.
people's voice back by
giving-
taking their autonomy out of their place. That is also taking their voices back. You're policing people's inability to express their way to grieve. That is not the great way. That's like what happened to Black Lives Matter yesterday.
I was with them.
Now I'm gonna say, certain people that practices non-violent tactics polices people who wants to do resistant work. And that's fucked up. You shouldn't be doing that. Not you, but people who practices this kind of bad shit.
What the fuck did their sit-in do to help us win? What sacrifice? They had food and water catered to them. Is that a fucking joke? The fuck kind of sit-in is that?
You know what sit-ins don't fucking do? Sit-in, you know what sit-ins do?
What?
They
They get
don't.
catered food and they have a bathroom? Oh, I feel so bad for them.
You know what
They
sit-ins
have
don't
all of
fucking
my
do?
sympathy.
Sit-ins didn't bring us an 8-hour workday.
Tell that to a
You know what-
fucking
you
person
know
on
what
a
sit-
prison
You know
strike.
what brought?
Tell that to prison
You know
strikers.
what brought the 8-hour workday to the United States? Violent resistance, not fucking sit-ins sitting around holding hands and singing goddamn kumbaya. That's not how it fucking works. You fight for what you want, and that's how you fucking get it. And if you're acting like we can just reform it and act all peaceful and cute and sweet, aw, that's never gonna work. We have to take back what belongs to us.
Something they should come out here and knock down this fucking wall.
Thank
What I'd
you.
like to say about that real quick, if I may, is that there was a study done over the last 100 years about social and radical change and how it was accomplished best over a multitude of different countries. And two things are very apparent. One, if you can engage 3.5% of the population of a country, you can have radical change. And the other is that violence ultimately repels people from that movement.
That's
So
what
one of
they-
the reasons
you
that
know
we
what,
are
that's what
trying
I
to be
fucking told the
nonviolent is to be inclusive, to bring in our elderly, to bring in our people of color, to bring in the LGBT community, to bring in people who are
You want to bring me in?
environmentalists.
You want to bring me in as a
That's
queer
why
person?
I'm talking to
You can't fucking
Talk
speak
about
for us.
violence,
I would love to.
motherfucker.
You
That's
can't
where
speak
we're
for
at.
us. You can't speak for us. You can't speak for us. We are the people on the streets, and your actions are causing us to maybe still get killed.
I'm here listening to you. I'm not trying to speak for you. I'm just trying
Really?
to
Because you're like
inform you
coming
of
over
what
and
we're
saying,
doing.
well, queer people ought to do this, and queer people ought to do that.
I didn't say
No,
that.
no, that's
I
exactly
would
what you
do
just
absolutely no
That is
such
exactly
thing.
what you just said when you said, well, nonviolence doesn't work. Nonviolence is this and this and this, and you guys shouldn't do this. Really, we shouldn't.
Non-violence works under a specific set of circumstances.
Diversity of taxes is okay.
I'm just
Diversity
saying
of
you
taxes
know
is
what
okay.
we are doing over
You're
here.
over here cheering for a sit-in from congressmen that fucking have
And by engaging, you're free to do your acts of violence. I completely support your decision to do so. But what I would like you to fundamentally understand is that by doing that near people that don't want it, you endanger those people as well.
How are we doing that by coming over here
I
and
don't
telling
think there
you
are
that
any acts of violence going on
Yeah,
right
we
now.
haven't committed any acts of violence. We're just telling you that the shit you're doing right here is
saying that our society, as it is fundamentally violent. Our society is fundamentally based on the exploitation of multiple classes of people, multiple races. And when you say nonviolence, you're completely ignoring the violence that's been waged on to oppress peoples for centuries.
You're only fighting for yourselves. You're fighting for middle-class white liberals. Those are the only goddamn people you fucking care about. You don't give a damn about us. You never gave a damn about us. Or else you'd be fighting out here with us. But instead, you're fucking cheering for a sit-in where they had catered fucking food, bathrooms, air conditioning. You don't give a shit about us.
Cut that shit out, man. We're trying to talk, man. Cut that shit out.
You don't give a shit about us. You never fought for us. You only fight for white liberals just like you. You only care about your fucking selves.
So, would you like to hear just a little bit about me and why maybe that's not necessarily true?
Really? Well, listen, as long as you're doing this, that's what you're doing.
Would you like to see a picture of my daughter?
I don't care about your fucking kid. I care about the lives of every person out here. I care about all workers. I don't care about one individual. It doesn't fucking matter. I have black friends. That's what every white racist says. I have black friends, so I can't be racist. I have a black.
You're absolutely right.
You know what? There's a white man in my hometown who's married to a black woman, and he's one of the most anti-black people I've ever met. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter.
I'm just asking if you would like to hear why I joined the Black Lives Matter movement, or why I support LGBT.
I don't care why. You should just do it regardless. It's the right thing to do.
That's pretty fundamental. I'm not saying violence is any kind of
and the way that you feel that you can make the best change.
Challenges the status quo.
You're not challenging the status quo.
And it's not
you're just reforming a system that is broken and does not work. And that's what we're trying to tell you. We're trying to tell you that what you're doing isn't going to help us.
Because it's already here.
I understand because every day people are struggling and people are suffering, whereas those changes aren't made.
And these reforms that you claim, they're not going to help us.
What scares me though is that what happens is like in Ferguson, Missouri,
I think that's a
where
symptom
they
of
have
the system, not necessarily a solution.
They absolutely do.
Violence.
What happened when there was a little bit of violence?
You can't police black anger. The media is going to be racist. The media is always going to be racist. They're always the media. A black person can be walking down the street doing nothing, minding their own business, and some white person in a house will call the cops and say there's a suspicious character walking down the road. It doesn't matter if violence or non-violence. The media is always going to portray black people and people of color and trans people as lesser. It doesn't matter. Like, it's going to happen regardless. So why don't we stand up and fight back?
I have a question I would like to ask you. Do you believe in, have you heard that 6 multinational corporations own 90% of all of our media? So one of our proposals is to use the antitrust laws that use Standard Oil and broke up Standard Oil and broke up Microsoft so that we can have more independent media that is actually newsworthy, and also a piece of legislation that holds them legally liable for lying, in the same way that Canada passed that kind of piece of legislation a few years ago, and Fox News is no longer allowed to operate or own any businesses in Canada.
How does that help? How does that help me? How does that help my How does that help my partner? How does that help trans people that I know? How does that help the average trans person of color walking down the street? How does that help them? How does that help anybody? How does that help anyone but the white liberals that watch the news? You know how few people of color, you know how many few queer people actually watch the news?
I know.
Because they don't want to see that shit anymore, so they don't watch the news. They don't care. So how does that affect them? How does like shutting down Fox News help people that don't watch the news, period? That doesn't matter to them.
That's the majority. Hateful rhetoric. So
but the hateful.
When we talk about like North Carolina and the trans bathroom laws, for example.
I'm from South Carolina, so I know a lot about that.
I was in Charleston for a little while. I have some family that lives there. So, but when we're talking about that particular piece of legislation, and we're talking about the divide that they're trying to create culturally, when we're talking about that specifically, a lot of those people take donations from like the Coke industries. They have an agenda. So what we're trying to do is force them to be put in a position where they say, you choose the agenda, you take the corporate money, or you lose your job.
So how does the government, even just repealing HB2, how does that help the average trans woman walking down the street who has a 1 in 12 chance of being murdered just for existing? How does that help the 1 in 8 chance of a trans woman of color being shot or stabbed or murdered just for walking down the road? That doesn't help them. That doesn't eliminate the rhetoric. That doesn't eliminate the threat of violence. It just makes it look pretty. You can smack, like I said earlier, you can smack rainbows on a drone as much as you want, and it still kills people. You can't tokenizing everything doesn't help.
Not immediately, but what we're trying to do.
But immediately. Okay, you say not immediately. Not immediately. What happens in the meantime? What happens to the people who are still being killed and murdered and slaughtered in the streets? How does that help them? You say not immediately. Well, do the lives of people now not matter?
I'm not saying that at all. I completely agree that your lives matter. 100%. I can't stress that enough. And what I feel like I'm doing is trying to help you in the way that I know how to do, which is to work with pieces of legislation, to work with the system that they know.
I just don't think that'll ever be effective because that system is built to oppress people. There is no way. It has to be torn down.
And most people agree with you. And we've seen how that worked out this cycle where our election was stolen from us. So what we're trying to do is make sure that people who, the majority of them agree with those things, are able to get to the ballot boxes.
The ballot boxes are not going to fix it. The ballot box, the system itself is broken. The electoral system is broken. Guess what? My vote is meaningless. I live in a majority red state. My vote is meaningless. I can vote for whoever I want and it won't matter because there's so many racists in my state that it does not matter. Everyone will vote for Trump. My vote is meaningless. I might as well not even do it. Because guess what? It doesn't matter how many times, what candidate I vote for. All of my state goes red. The whole thing. There is no proportional. There is no nothing. That is how 2000 happened.
That's the Electoral College.
It
was set up and designed that way because of slavery, specifically.
It was set up and designed that way.
So we need to get rid of the Electoral College.
We need to tear it down. Yes, we need to tear it down. We don't need to try to reform it. That's not how it works.
And the way that we can do that is by continuing to build a movement and a message and making sure that people actually have not only the information available to them through all sorts of media where they're not being lied to, but also that they can get to the voter box and make sure that those people with those ideas are representing them in a form of government that is supposed to work for them. I understand the history of this country and the oppression that it has put on especially brown people.
But
the history of it.
The problem is that no movement has ever been voted in. No movement has ever been peacefully elected into the ballots. You have to go hit the streets and you have to go take it. That's how the 8-hour, that's how the 8-hour workday happened. You can thank violent resistance for the fact that you have an 8-hour workday right now.
There was a nonviolence
the police don't even consider me a human being. So I'm a sex worker, so they don't even consider me a human being. Because a crime committed against me is no human interaction. Or no human involvement, which means they can just go kill me. And the crime, no human involvement.
The community around you and your family and your friends should be a lot more supportive of all the things that you're going through in that struggle. And I promise you that this is a group of people that is willing to listen to you about those struggles and help you in ways that you want to be helped.
Then they should come out with us. They should fight with us, not for themselves.
In the same way that we would like you to hear from us.
Come out and fight for the people.
You're turning yourself, right? I'm asking you the
You claim to represent Black Lives. You claim to be supportive of Black Lives Matter. You claim to be supportive of LGBT and trans movements. Come out and support us when we need you. Come out and fight alongside us. Don't run when the punches get thrown. Because there's a very lovely quote that I heard. Liberals are the first ones to leave the room when the fighting starts.
You're right.
Don't be that person.
Especially white liberals and older white liberals.
You don't be that person. Don't police how we're allowed to respond. Non-violence is not helping us. A combination of tactics, a diversity of tactics is appropriate. Sometimes non-violence is okay, but condemning all violence, that doesn't help us. That shuts us down. That shuts down our movements. That hurts us more than it helps.
And I wasn't trying to shut that down. The only thing that I did ask is that you were doing it away from us because of the way that we feel.
But we haven't been violent. We haven't thrown any punches here.
I understand, but when we were asking you guys to please not shake the fence and stuff is because we don't want to put some of the people that are here in danger. You're more than welcome to do that. But also, a lot of us aren't from Philadelphia. So
I'm not from Philadelphia either.
Me personally,
I live in South. I'm 12 hours from here.
I wouldn't want somebody coming to my city and disrespecting it. I wouldn't want somebody coming and destroying my stuff.
Oh, really? A city that is funded by what? This part of the city is one of the richest. Fucking Center City is one of the richest areas in this country. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna shed tears for rich people. I'm not gonna shed tears over rich people's fucking property. You know what? This fence is not natural. They put this fence up. They pulled this. The government pulled this fence up. They got the money and they built this fence. Guess what? The people of Philadelphia did not pay for this fence.
The poor did. Because the rich aren't.
This fence does not belong to the people of Philadelphia. It'll be gone at the end of this convention. So don't act like we're tearing up property. No, we're not. This is temporary shit. This doesn't even belong here.
I know. I understand.
So don't act like we're coming here and tearing up stuff and we're not from out of town. No, don't portray us like violent criminals. We're not.
I didn't do that at all.
That is exactly what you did when you implied that we were going to come and tear up your city. We have no interest in that.
No, I just meant personally, like, even my entire trip here, I've been conscious to not litter. I feel like
so
this
have
is
we.
their home.
So have we. But this is not their home. This is a temporary structure built to hold us back from getting to that.
I meant the other people, the ones who actually live here. The ones who, when we leave, are going to have to deal with agitated cops.
I'm staying with those people.
And they're going to have to deal with agitated police officers.
They have to deal with agitated police officers all the time. That's not going to change because of us. They have to deal with agitated police officers all the time. Thinking that because we act all polite and kiss the asses of the cops, thinking that that's going to change a damn thing that happens to these people is untrue. That's not what's going to happen. They're still going to be getting killed. They're still going to be getting hurt regardless of what we do here. The cops are still going to go out and kill them because that's what they do. That's what police do. That's what the police system, the police department is built to do. It is built to oppress people of color. It is built to oppress LGBTQ communities. It is built to repress anyone who is not the majority. And so to have the nerve to say that we are going to agitate the police, they've been agitated. They've been agitated. They started this war. We're going to fucking finish it.
Hey, babe, before you walk away, just because somebody doesn't live here doesn't mean they represent our city. We're one human family, that means all the cities are our cities.
I know this.
So, I mean, agitated police, if they're agitated, I don't want to be filmed.
When you buy things like iPhone, when it supports the labor of children in Africa to make your mistake. So when you're talking about non-violent movement, you are perpetuating the very violence of this country that inherently creates overseas and in this country. It is a form of privilege when people talk about, I want to be symbolic. I want to talk about having a peaceful congregation. Some of us don't have the luxury to get the home safe. Some of us don't have the luxury to get to see our family. Because today, as of today, we lost 163 black men from the hand of the police. None of you will ever understand what it feels like as a person of color, having to feel like racism is the marker of this country to destroy the very essence of our culture. So when you talk about white privilege is not limited to RNC. White privilege also is your activist work. So when I talk about silence, you cannot silence people of color like you did yesterday with Black Lives Matter and telling them they cannot abolish the police because you choose to perpetuate the very same system that criminalizes black people.
Children of the arcade! No good cops in a racist system!
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 You're making a mess of